Hey, what's up, guys? You are watching Rye and Reviews, our weekly show where we recap every episode of Insecure Season 3. We are now on episode 5. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for sticking with us. And thank you for watching the channel. As you can see this week, my lovely and beautiful co-host, Tanisha, isn't with us. That's because she has to attend to some family business. She apologizes for not being able to make the episode, but she sure wishes she was here. And I wish she was here because, as you'll see when I get into the episode, I had some hard times figuring out what exactly the storylines were here. But we're going to get into that here in a minute. One thing I want to do before we start is go ahead and explain to you guys our last episode. If you watched episode 4, you noticed that our faces were pixelated and that you were only able to really get 20 minutes of what was actually a 35-minute episode. The reason why that happened is because when we were filming, we went over time. We tend to get into really good discussions, and our video corrupted. We didn't have enough space on the device which we were using. So unfortunately, after the video corrupted, it had to be sent off to be recovered. When it was recovered, it only recovered about 20 minutes of our discussion, and unfortunately, the voice and the video didn't go together. So what we uploaded was our best effort to give you an episode at the same time without confusing the issues with the fact that our voice, and if you noticed from the pixelated version, our hand movements and our, the video wasn't going to match up. But we appreciate you guys watching. We understand that we left you at a cliffhanger because we only had 20 minutes of a video, and we finished off with Molly. There was about 15 more minutes that we spent some time on Molly and her career and the fact that Tanisha felt like she was self-sabotaging herself. On the other hand, I felt like she was probably suffering from similar issues that most strong black women are suffering from, and that's, having goals, setting goals, wanting to achieve those goals, and wanting to make sure that you're not being taken for granted. Both points are very valid, and unfortunately, until Tanisha's back, I don't really want to get into that and, have it a one-side conversation. I will tell you though that both of us gave last episode an A. I actually was leaning toward A+, but we were really excited about where the show was headed. We were really excited about how they were taking Issa and Nathan's relationship. So getting into this episode, well, actually before we get into this episode, let me go ahead and start with the rye. This weekend, I am actually sipping on a drink that is somewhat of, I will say, much like the borough it's named after, the better part of a New York named drink. I'm a big fan of ordering Manhattans or ordering Old Fashions when I'm in the bar, but anytime I get a chance, I always order a Brooklyn. I love Brooklyn. I love Brooklyn as a borough. I think it's the best borough in New York, and I love Brooklyn as a drink. For the Brooklyn drink, it's 2 ounces of rye, an ounce of dry vermouth, about 1/4 of an ounce of what is known as maraschino liqueur, and then it's about 1/4 of an ounce of Amand pecan. From what I understand, that's really hard to get in the United States, so the recipe allows you to substitute an orange bitters or another Amand pecan-esque alcoholic beverage, but I just substituted with the bitters. So a lot of people garnish the Brooklyn with an orange slice or an orange peel rather than a cherry. I'm a big fan of maraschino cherries, and it already has a liqueur in it, so I went ahead and went with the maraschino cherry at the bottom of my glass. So cheers. I hope you guys try the Brooklyn. It's a great drink, and I actually hope that you guys go check out Brooklyn because it's the best borough. Just to give you an idea of what the Brooklyn tastes like, if you like a Manhattan, or I like to think of a Manhattan or even a Brooklyn as a whiskey martini. It's served in a whiskey glass. When you're making it, you always stir it, never shaken, and you serve it in a chilled glass. I'm sorry, served in a martini glass. I think I said whiskey earlier. But it's a great drink. It's a little sweet with the maraschino liqueur, so it takes off a little bit of the edge that you get from the Manhattan. Now, moving on from the Brooklyn drink. This episode was called High Like, and I was interested to see where that was going to go when I first saw the title screen, and then when we cut to Issa and Molly, basically Issa making sure that Molly is going to go on this trip with them. They're headed to Coachella. The previews for this after the last episode was really showing you how turned up Issa was when they were out in the desert in California. Now I'll tell you, I've been to Palm Springs. I had a great time. I went out with a group of friends this past May to celebrate a birthday. It was an awesome time, awesome experience. The city is a little dry unless you're out there for something, but I'm sure when you're out there for Coachella, unfortunately I missed Baychella this year and continue to kick myself for that. But it's still a good time. You're out in the desert, you're having fun, you're hanging out with friends, and that's exactly what Issa was trying to show the audience, I believe, in the episode. Like, we're going to turn up. This is a big event. Everybody knows about it. Everybody knows about Coachella. You know how the tickets go on sale. I mean, for next year, the tickets have already gone on sale. They're sold out, and then they will resell for 4 times and 5 times the price, depending on who's going to be the headliner. I didn't get tickets for next year either. I might regret that later on, but I figured if I missed, Beyonce, then I probably missed the best performance that they're going to have out there. So I didn't want to take the leap, even though resale is probably an automatic given there. But that's enough about that. But anyways, Issa's really excited to get out to Coachella. She's so excited that since she's quit her job at We Got Y'all, she's spending her time being Molly's assistant. And she's actually running errands for Molly to make sure that Molly's in a position, knowing that she's at this new job, to go ahead and get out to Coachella. And she has that all set up, but right before they go out, Molly takes on a new task that is essentially going to have her, cut on her girls and not go out to Coachella. But, Issa persuades her to go out and everything, and they all 4 end up there. Now, the scene where Issa is convincing Molly that she should go out to Coachella was interesting to me because it really shows you the dynamic between the 4 in the group. Issa doesn't really have a strong connection with Kelly, and she doesn't really have a strong connection with Tiffany, which we actually come back to later in the episode, and I'll talk about that too. So it's interesting how Issa's entire weekend was going to be made or broke by the fact that Molly was there, and she couldn't afford for that to happen. The bond between Molly and Issa is a lot stronger than the bond between Issa and Kelly or Issa and Tiffany. Tiffany, I can understand. They really haven't developed her character too much, so we don't really know where she ultimately fits in Issa's life. But Kelly, on the other hand, Kelly might not be that strong of a friend with Issa. She might not be kicking it with her like that. But Kelly is definitely somebody that Issa needs to have in her life because Kelly keeps it real. Kelly says things to Issa that Issa might not want to hear, that most people don't want to hear from their friends, but she keeps it real. She keeps it real in the fact that you shouldn't be doing X because you can't afford to do that. Oh, what job are you talking about? You don't work. Oh, you just got off of a couch. So, yeah, she's saying it and she's giving her a read, but at the same time, she's also, giving her good advice that Issa should probably take heed to. Now, before we get to them going out to Coachella, Issa is driving Lyft again, and it looks like she's learned some lessons from her previous experience driving Lyft. She's prepared with water, she's got a bag for the guy who's about to throw up, she's got someone who's making a play for her, she's able to, toss that to the side, no issues. Like, everything seems to be going well for Issa. She's about to go hang out with her girls, have a great weekend. The Lyft is going well. She's able to even convince the tenant in the new place that she's managing that whatever her issue is, it's not real. But with this, tenant, it seemed like it would be easy to do because she seems to just be having, hallucinations, like Issa promptly point out. But you knew that the episode, in my mind, was going to be an episode where we got all of the old players, all of the people we were initially introduced to back in the show when the final passenger hopped into her Lyft. And it was the, what is he, a Blood or a Crip? I think he's a Blood. Anyways, the gangster that lived in her old apartment building. He was the last passenger to hop in her Lyft, and I think it was foretelling, and it was definitely foretelling if you've watched the episode, and we're going to get to that too, that, we're about to see some familiar faces. How Issa didn't pick up on that, I'm not sure, but I'm sure she couldn't just hop it's not a TV show if there aren't people who, if the characters if the characters are as smart as the viewers, then the TV show isn't that interesting, is what I'll say. So anyways, we also see right before they go out to Coachella that Issa really has a feeling for Nathan. In our last episode, she spent that day out with him, and they really got to connect some. And, it made me wonder if she's moving too fast, and I think that she probably is. Right now, Nathan is really a rebound, and I don't know if Issa is properly separating the rebound feelings from actual feelings that she's feeling for him. So for her to be feeling like, oh, I haven't heard from you, and was about to text him but didn't, and I think that was wise, because you don't want to look thirsty. And right now, you just kind of go with the flow. Like, you just got finished with Daniel. You were in a 5-year relationship with Lawrence that ended terribly. You went through this with Daniel. It kind of ended terribly too, and it ended recently. And yeah, you had a great day and connected with Nathan, but at the same time, he's really just your rebound right now. So let it flow. Let's see where it goes, but don't push it. You don't have to harp on him for not getting back to you immediately. You don't have to send him text messages like, I haven't heard from you in the last 2 hours. One, that's the type of stuff that run people off. And at the same time, what if what you're feeling isn't love, but it's lust? And you need to let that cool down so you can decipher the two. But anyways, we get out to Coachella, and Issa convinced Molly to come out. Molly's going behind them, but convinced Molly to go out. So we get to the house. Everybody knows Tiffany's pregnant. I thought it was a surprise, but I guess they kind of just want us to roll with new information as the season goes. And quite frankly, Tiffany is kind of useless. Anyways, Tiffany's pregnant. She can't do much. Issa's kind of upset about that because she really wants to turn up. She really needs this weekend to get away. She really wants to be with her girls. She wants to have a good time. And then they've got this pregnant lady there who can't have as much fun as everybody else. And then you have Kelly, Kelly is always the one who's out of pocket. But quite frankly, they're in California. They're going to Coachella. Everybody knows what Coachella is. If I were Kelly and, I was out in California and it was time to turn up, I'm not sure that, I wouldn't be ready to go as soon as I got to the house too. And we saw that she was. She timed her edible just perfectly to be ready when they got to Coachella so they could get out to the desert and get out to the festival and have a good time. The only problem is Issa can't deal with Kelly when Kelly's high, and Tiffany went to go take a nap. So now Issa's got to figure out how she's going to navigate these friendships, and she can't really. So you notice that they don't even push that issue. They just went ahead and took a nap. And when Molly gets there, everybody's asleep. Molly's able to get her, her work done. She got a thumbs up from the partner. Issa's waking up in the morning, banging pots and pans. She's ready to go. She's still got that excitement. She got too much sleep that night. So all of this buildup gets us to the text message that she finally gets from Nathan saying that he's there now. So now she's really excited. She changes the plans. She takes them over to this party that Nathan invites them to. They get there, and because the energy level is so high, the build up to this festival was so much. And quite frankly, I would have been so excited myself. I mean, I'm excited now just thinking about my friends who went out there and had a good time last year. So much so that I was watching, somebody posted the Beyonce performance earlier on Facebook, and I rewatched it. Like, first of all, the performance was everything. So I'm, like I said, still kicking myself for missing that performance. But, I mean, if I was actually going to be there and I had been Kelly, I would have left the pregnant lady on the sofa and I would have left Issa in the kitchen waiting on Molly. I would have went out there on my own. I know Uber, I've got an app, I can afford it. And it was Kelly's car, if I remember correctly. So they could have Ubered themselves over there if they really wanted to wait on Molly to get there. I would have been ready to go. I would have been excited. I would have felt just like Kelly. But anyways, now we're all in the same situation where everybody's got the build up. They're really excited. They get to this party. Molly finally figures out that Issa just pulled another Issa. Issa just pulled another Issa, which makes sense because she's Issa. But she just changed the plans so that everybody could show up at this pool party so that she can make it seem like, oh my God, Nathan's here. I didn't know he was going to be here, but Molly saw right through that. They cut to the chase. There was no line. Issa said, look, I needed this. I hadn't heard from him. We had a good time. I wanted to see the dude. You know, Molly was okay with it after she met Nathan's friends. And, you know, Kelly's always ready for a good time. And, I mean, at this time we see that Kelly's fluid because she's hollering at girls at the pool party. So all of this build-up leads us to the poor decision that these are people with careers. You know, Kelly's an accountant, Molly's an attorney at a major law firm, and she's trying to make her way up. Issa is really the only one who would be in a position to, oh, if I drop a Molly at this Coachella event and something goes left, there's not much I'm going to lose. You know, being property manager, not much is going to be lost if, say, you spend the night or the weekend in jail. But Molly could have been disbarred. You know, if you get arrested and you spend the weekend in jail, you know, all of that is reported to the state bar. She could have been disbarred. Kelly could have lost her license as an accountant. You know, those people have things riding, so I was actually shocked that those two were the most cavalier about dropping Molly. You know, Issa was only doing it because she's trying to be free and flowy with Nathan. And she dares Nathan, and of course they all take a Molly. And then, like, the episode just turned to a place where I was confused for a lot of it because I'm not sure that we dealt with a lot of issues, but we just rolled with it. Like, it was just, we're here, we're having fun, you're watching these people have fun at Coachella. And that was fun for me too. Like, my favorite part of the episode, second favorite actually, we're gonna get to my favorite part, but my second favorite part of the episode was when Issa and Nathan are sitting by the pool, and Issa finally realizes that she might be high, and Nathan starts, you know, tingling her arm. From what I understand, Molly makes your senses, and you saw it in the episode, makes your senses like heightened, and particularly your sense of touch. So that was fun for me. That was cool. That was like, oh, I bet, like, I could feel or imagine, like, what's that feeling? You know, what's that tingly or whatever? And that was cute. But it also leads to bad decisions. Kissing him on the pool, not necessarily a bad decision. And quite frankly, I don't know if Issa's just bad at playing somebody who's high. Maybe she's never actually done Molly either. So she was the least high, or at least the least acting high. You know, acted the least high of the characters in the episode, because Molly was wasted. Kelly was wasted. And even after we find out later in the episode, you know, Tiffany had a bite of a weed brownie, and it was just a bite, but she was wasted. But we finally get to Coachella. They finally set up in their spot for Beyonce, and everyone's finding reasons to ditch Tiffany. Tiffany's, you know, being the drill sergeant, we have to stand here, we have to be right here, this is the perfect spot, can't nobody leave, and everybody's finding reasons to ditch her because everybody has their own little play that they're trying to make. So Issa and Nathan run off first, and, you know, I was excited about that. It was like, okay, that's cute, you know, they're running off, they're, you know, clearly we're going to lead to some type of romantic you know, scene about them. But the very first thing they cut to is Issa going back to, why didn't you hit me up? It's like, you're killing the vibe. And it just goes back to, she must not be high, because if that's still on your mind after everything that's gone on this day, like, y'all waking up early, you taking shots, you done dropped Molly, you done got high, you know, and after all of this, we done went from day, it's now nighttime, you guys are, you know, cuddled up, you're at the event, and that's on your mind. Like, you are killing the vibe. Let it go, let it flow, like, let this be something different, you know? Don't try to put rules on it, and definitely don't try to put rules on it. This is your second date. I mean, you can call it 2.5 if you count the Uber, but this is your second date. Why are you putting rules on it? He didn't hit you up the next day, but he did hit you up when he was out at Coachella. He was at a party that you didn't know about. He could have been with many of other girls, but he hit you up. You know, he hit you up and said, hey, come swing by this party. I'm out here. I actually got a ticket. And he's spending his entire day with you. How is this still on your mind? How is this still on your mind when you're on drugs? I don't get it. Let it go. But anyways, we actually get out of that pretty simply. Nathan was like, listen, I didn't want to come on too strong. Whether he's telling the truth or not, he handled it well. We moved on. We got to the Ferris wheel. Get in the Ferris wheel, and the Ferris wheel stops. And, of course, we get to a sex scene. I mean, it brought up two questions for me. One, how do they always have the perfect moment to have fun, like to be free, to get these escape moments? I don't think I ever, or if I do, it's very rarely that I ever get the perfect moment every time to have these escape moments. And secondly, where's all this free sex being handed out? I'll never get this free fun sex. Shit, somebody stop by and give me some free fun sex. That would be hella nice. And I think I'm watching too much California television, because who the hell says hella but California people? Anyways, but we saw the sex scene. It was cute. It was fun. It was free. I liked the movement between Issa and Nathan. I love it. I love their character play. I love where it's going. I can tell, though, right now, Nathan's hiding something. Nathan is hiding something. He's hiding something. He's hiding something. And it might take us until next season. It might take us to the end of this season to figure out what the hell it is. But Nathan is hiding something. And I can't wait to figure out what it is. Because it would be too much like right for him to just be a perfect person for Issa. But yeah, that's what makes me think he's hiding something. And also, getting back to him being the perfect person for Issa, I do think, though, Nathan has been the most supportive male that Issa's had on her journey in these episodes. You know, Lawrence loved Issa, and I'm Team Lawrence, and, you know, I think that Lawrence was really hurt and everything, but Lawrence had his faults. You know, he should have manned up before he was told to man up, and get himself off of the couch and do better. And, you know, it's great to be a creator, and it's great to have a dream, and it's great to have a passion and everything, but at the same time, you know, you guys are in this together, and you're not holding your own. So do something to where you can still have your passion and hold your own. Like, I would never be in a position where my partner is, you know, taking care of me. Like, I'm gonna get off of somebody's couch. So, you know, that was his downfall. And, you know, whether or not he was really supportive of her is not something that they really developed, because we really just got into the fact that the relationship was already on the rocks when we met them. Daniel, on the other hand, I don't think he was that supportive of Issa. Emotionally, I think that Daniel was very supportive of Issa, clearly. Financially, maybe financially, but, you know, he housed her for a while in this season, and, you know, he was cute, he was fun, he was flirty, but I'm not sure that he was the best support system that Issa had. This guy in Nathan has said small things, very small things, like, you know, it's gonna be okay, or we can handle this together, or even when later in the episode you see, like, he's willing to take on some of what Issa feels like is going to be some of the blame that we're going to talk about here in a minute with her, even though she doesn't take that and help from him. But I do think that he's hiding something. I really think that he's hiding something, and we're going to get there. Now, so when Nathan and Issa are stuck in the Ferris wheel having sex, what we find out is there's some frustration, and this might be an undercurrent of the episode or the season that is really built to a head right here, and it really just comes out, and they use the perfect character to go ahead and show the frustration that just black folks in general are having with white folks right now. And it's in the idea that when everyone gets back to the spot, so just stepping back, Nathan and Issa run off. Then Molly tries to lay down, but the guy that she was hanging out with lets her know that you can't lay down on Molly or you'll pass out. So they stand up for a second, but it seems like they have moved off the spot for a moment when we get back to the stage. And then we already know that Kelly and the guy that she was hanging out with are walking off. Kelly doesn't even give a reason. She just walks off. So Tiffany, the pregnant lady, Molly is semi-passed out with the stranger guy that she doesn't know, and it seems like she walked off also. So the spot gets taken over, and it gets taken over by some white people, and one of the couples that's there, the girl's on the guy's shoulders. Kelly comes back and she's fuming. She's fuming because one, her spot's taken, and now you've got this girl on her dude's shoulders, blocking everybody's view. If you've ever been to a festival or a music festival, there's always one. There's always one couple who thinks that that's okay. And 9 times out of 10, they're white people. And I think it just speaks to the privilege that white people have. And I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I think that there is an issue that's in the show that needs to be brought up and needs to be addressed, and it's just out in society, whether they're actually taking advantage of it, whether they know about it or not. There is a sort of privilege that white people exude that lets them think it's okay to be in the front row of a concert that everyone is on ground level, but you're going to put yourself on someone's shoulders that nobody behind you can see behind you. And I think that this finally gets to the frustrating point where Kelly's like, she's had enough. And on top of that, Kelly's high as hell. So she just goes ahead and she pulls the girl down off the guy's shoulders, and an all-out brawl ensues. It's between Kelly and Kelly's dude and Molly and Molly's dude, and then even Tiffany comes back after going to get some water, and she's throwing water on them like they're dogs, trying to break them up. And eventually security comes, and of course they escort Molly and Tiffany and Kelly and the dudes that they're hanging out of the Coachella performance. And it's right before Bee's house, and this is when Issa and Nathan come back to the house. And you know, Issa is super paranoid at the moment that everybody's mad at her, which I wrote it down. I don't know why, but from that point on, everything for Issa was, you're mad at me, everybody's mad at me, you're mad at me, everybody's mad at me, you're mad at me, everybody's mad at me. I need to rewatch the episode. I might need to rewatch a couple episodes, but maybe this is more her subconscious speaking, you know, because she's really worried about the fact that everyone's mad at her. She's really, really worried about that. Like, that's her main point. And I'm wondering if when she's not high, that's what's driving her. Like, everyone's mad at her, everyone's mad at her, everyone's mad at her. And maybe it goes back to Lawrence. Maybe it goes back to, man, I effed this up. Man, I effed this up. Man, I effed this up. I effed this up. Like, and it just continues. Like, and that's how it just keeps building. And now that, you know, her defenses are down, it's coming out. You know, everyone's mad at me. I keep effing this up. I keep effing this up. I keep messing this up. You know, when they're walking to the door, she and Nathan, you know, she says, it's my fault. I changed the plans. I did this. I did that. It's all coming back for her on her. At the same time, I'm wondering if it's just that, and you see it in every episode. You saw it in this episode. You saw it in the last episode. Issa is extremely self-consumed. Extremely self-consumed. All of her decisions are based on what's going to make Issa feel better, what's going to be fun for Issa, what's going to promote Issa's agenda. That's how they got to Nathan's party, and maybe she's actually finally dealing with that. Like, everything's about her to her. No matter how she frames it, it's all about her. All of her decisions are about her. She's very self-centered. And maybe she's finally picking up on that, but I think it was probably just the drugs. But Nathan offers to go and tackle that issue with her, and to me, like, I don't think Lawrence would have done that. I don't think that, you know, I don't think that Daniel would have done it at all. Lawrence might have been there with her to support her, but Lawrence would have looked at her and like, yeah, you are pretty self-centered, you know? He would have given her a little taste of reality, in my opinion, is how I see it. I think Daniel would have dropped her off in the car and been like, let me know everything's all right. But maybe I just have it out for Daniel. I'm sure that's what Tanisha would say if she was sitting here. She walks into the house and she finally gets the full rundown of what's going on. Kelly is pissed. She didn't get to see Beyonce, and she is mad at Issa. She blames Issa for every bit of it. And she's still sitting in her pissy jeans. Molly is having a breakdown because between all of this, we find out that Molly missed something from the partner, and now the other attorney that she's working with on the case has been saving the day, and he's getting all the credit for the work. And that's the main reason why Molly got on this case, is because she wanted exposure to the partner. And she's not getting that exposure, and this guy's still getting the cred. And in her high state, she is banging on her laptop computer keys. And this is what I was saying about, I was surprised that she was so cavalier about taking Molly, because She has so much to lose. And if Issa hadn't walked in that door and ripped that computer out of her hands, whatever she was about to send to that partner was about to lose her job. So it's a good thing Issa walked in. Tiffany is freaking out because it's only until this point of the episode that we find out that Tiffany actually had a piece of the weed brownie, and she's freaking out because now she thinks she's having a weed baby, and they're all having this huge drug meltdown because of all the decisions that were made after they took the Molly. And you know what? Maybe that was the point of the episode. Maybe it was a social commentary on the fact that you don't need drugs. You shouldn't take drugs. You're going to end up tased and pissed on yourself. You're going to end up missing out on work stuff that's important to you, and you're about to lose your job because you're going to say something stupid to the partner, sending this brief out high on Molly. You're going to do something that could possibly endanger your expecting child, or you're going to make some decisions that put all of your friends in this position, and you're in fear and jeopardy of losing this closest connection that you have in life. Like, maybe that's the social commentary here. I don't know. But it made for good television. I love the episode. I'm going to rewatch it before I go to bed. But it was hard for me to pick up on just exactly what they're saying here. Maybe they're saying it all. Maybe, they want you to get a taste of the social commentary on the harms of drugs, or they want you to get a taste on the social commentary of moving too fast when you're really just hanging out with the rebound guy, or social commentary with white privilege and the frustration with minorities on, just how, is it bombastic? Or how just someone having the audacity to think that they could be in front of a stage where everyone paid to be there, but you think your view is most important. Maybe they want you to pick up on all of this. Who knows? It's fun. If you have the answer, leave it in the comments. I am very willing to have the conversation with you in the comment section. Bring it back up next week. But let me know what you think, actually, because there was a lot of it for me to unpack. I realize that I am going long, so I'm going to speed this up. So they all pass out right where they stand. They wake up in the morning and they realize, man, I don't want to be high anymore. Actually, Molly says that before they pass out. I don't want to be high anymore. I don't want to be high anymore. They all pass out. They wake up. It's morning, as we lay, it's morning. And Tiffany needs some water. There isn't any water in the house. All they have is vodka. Issa offers to drive her to the 7-Eleven because Molly still doesn't understand that she's been tased. She thought that was a dream, and she can't figure out why she smells like piss. Molly woke up wrapped in the carpet on the floor, which is funny as fuck, but her panties were cute as hell. And now Tiffany and Issa finally get to the scene where it explains everything that I'm sure everyone picked up on throughout season 1 and season 2. Tiffany and Issa aren't friends, and Tiffany knows that Tiffany and Issa aren't friends. And I don't know what the hell they were on, what type of Molly it was, what it was marked with or whatever, but it was so strong that it knocked Tiffany out of character. She was a completely different character the next morning. But they have a heart-to-heart in the parking lot of the 7-Eleven. I've been to that 7-Eleven. It's actually pretty cool. They had a heart-to-heart in the parking lot of the 7-Eleven where Tiffany's like, everything's changing, I'm pregnant, I feel left out or whatever. I think they're setting us up for Tiffany to get written off the show because she's like, everything's changing, I'm pregnant, I've really pushed myself to hang out with you guys and whatnot. And, Issa drops this line like, oh, we're still going to be friends or whatever. And Tiffany looks away, she looks out the window and she's like, yeah, I hope so. But you kind of see it like they're setting us up for Tiffany to get written off the show. And I am not mad about it, so I'm going to move on. We get into 7-Eleven and Issa is looking for alkaline water, particularly for her friend Tiffany. And you know what? Before I started this episode, watching the episode, I knew this was going to happen. I knew we were getting everybody together for a reason. Issa walks up to the counter, asks for alkaline water, and who's there? Chad. We saw Chad in the last episode when he was on the bench and they were roasting him. Foretelling, people. Foretelling. You gotta watch. These writers aren't sneaky. Anyways. But then, who comes from behind the Slurpee machine? Lawrence. Lawrence is back, y'all. Lawrence is back. And of course, that's where they leave the episode because they love cliffhangers and they want you to watch next week, and that's how you keep viewers and you make money. But I knew this was going to happen. I knew this was going to happen. I knew this was going to happen for a few reasons. If you've just lived life and you've made it to 30 or 31, 32, you know that at the most inopportune time, at the time when you've moved on or you think you're moving on, where things are going well, where things are starting to look up, that's when your past comes back to haunt you. And particularly when you're going to Coachella or some type of music festival or some type of event that everybody's going to be at, your ex is going to be there. It always happens. You're always running into your ex. That's how life works out. It just works out that way for everybody. So anybody who thought of it just like that is like, oh yeah, we knew Lawrence was going to be there. We knew Lawrence was going to be walking out from the Slurpee machine. But I'm so excited to see where this goes. I'm really excited to see what happens. And quite frankly, we've had a lot of dream state realities in this show, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're still high. But we're going to get to see that. I have talked and talked and talked and talked and talked. We are almost at 40 minutes, so I'm actually just going to leave it there. I'm not going to go any further into it. I'm excited to see the group back together. I'm excited to see if they write Tiffany off, or if they don't write Tiffany off and we actually get to meet her baby. I'm excited about Issa and Nansford, Nathan. I thought it was funny that they called him Nansford. So Issa and Nathan, to see where that goes. But for now, I'm going to sign off. I'm going to give this episode an A+. I was really happy with where it went. I was really happy with the topics that they discussed and how they dealt with them. And I am going to cheers this time, or toast this time, to, actually, this has nothing to do with the show, but I'm going to toast to one of my best friends from college. His son just had a birthday, and unfortunately I missed the birthday party today, and I feel kind of bad about it. So, here is my toast to Cinco. Happy birthday, little dude. And to all of you guys who watched, thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for following us. Thank you for keeping on with us through all of our technical difficulties. I promise we're going to get this right one day, and I hope you're there to see it. If you liked this episode, please hit the like button. Please share it with all of your friends. Please comment in the bottom so that we know how you feel about our show and even how you feel about Insecure. All right? So until next week, guys, I hope you enjoy your Brooklyn. I hope you enjoy Insecure. Have a great week, and I'll catch you later.